Hello, this is John Squared, and today I'm going to talk about the QC30 and the WI-1000X, and I am going to compare those two. Both of these earphones are neckband type noise-canceling earphones, and both are priced about the same at just under $300. But first, a disclaimer. Sound is a very subjective thing, and especially with earphones, the perception can change with your ear shape and many other factors, so I strongly advise you to check these earphones out for yourselves before making the purchasing decision, and take my review only as another person's opinion. First off, let's take a look at the controls. The Sony has a single button for music control. You can press it up to 3 times or long press it to perform different actions. The Bose has separate controls for music. Both the Bose and the Sony's have noise cancelling level control, although the Bose allows for finer control in the earphone itself. Both earphones have dedicated volume buttons. Both can be charged via micro USB, and the Sony's offer wired connection through the USB port. For the materials, the Sony's have an aluminum neckband base with P-leather covering the back part and plastic on the side. The Bose seem to be made of plastic with sort of a rubbery texture, and it is a bit more flexible than the Sony's. The Bose QC30 has a bit less tension in the neckband, presumably due to its rubber construction, so it may be easier on your neck, but it slips off more compared to the Sony. The Bose has a very unique set of ear tips they call Stay Here, and they are really easy on the ears thanks to the shallower insertion. In short, the QC30s offered a bit more comfort for me, but the Sonys were by no means too uncomfortable. Your mileage may vary depending on your neck size, your ear shape, and other things. Both earphones have supplementary apps for additional control. The apps both have noise cancelling level adjust, and both can let ambient sound in, which lets sound in with the microphones to monitor your surroundings. The Bose have multi-pairing support, so you can change between 2 devices without disconnecting. The Sonys lack the multi-pairing option, but the Sonys have a built-in EQ and DSP settings in the app and in the earphone, while the Bose do not. Now let's take a look at their sound. One thing that must be taken into account when comparing these two earphones is that the WI-1000X have internal EQ and the settings will stay with the earphone itself. But you cannot do the same with the QC30s. So you can tune the sound on your Sonys, but you are not able to for the Bose. So for the WI-1000X, I will give comparisons on both before and after the EQ. The reference earphones for flat sound that I'll be using are a pair of ER4Bs with a bit of low bass boost due to its accurate representation of the diffuse field target. However, some people may feel that it is a bit treble heavy for their liking. The preference for sound is a very subjective thing, so please take that into consideration. The Bose have a balanced, neutral sound, albeit slightly dark for diffuse field, but will be better for people who want a flatter sound. The Sonys, on the other hand, have a very bass-heavy and slight treble-emphasized sound out of the box. Both have no roll-off in the bass, which is good, but the Sonys have a little bit of roll-off in the extreme highs. The mid-bass on the Sonys are quite strong compared to a rather flat mid-bass on the Bose. The mid-range is flat on both, but the vocals will sound darker when listening to the Sonys, as they have a lot of emphasis on the bass. The highs are slightly emphasized on the Sonys compared to the Bose, which has slightly darker highs compared to the mid-range. With the EQ, the Sonys can be made to sound rather similar to the diffuse field target, with a slight roll-off to the bass and the highs. And since they have bass control and 5 EQ bands, they are very tunable. If you want flat sound without the lows and highs falling off, you may prefer the Bose. And if you prefer the bass-heavy sound with more tunability, you may prefer the Sonys. Both do not have any microphonics, thankfully, since there are nowhere for the cable to snag onto. Before going into the details about noise cancellation, there is something that I need to mention, which is about the compatibility with aftermarket foam tips. The Sonys will fit any aftermarket ear tips that correspond to the Comply T200 standard. However, since the nozzles of the Bose are curved inwards, so the foam tips will fit the earphones, but it was impossible for me to insert the earphone in my ear in a manner that was usable. As such, the Bose QC30s will not be considered compatible with aftermarket foam tips. This will be an important point in the comparison as the foam tips improved noise isolation significantly on the Sonys. Therefore, the Sonys will be compared to the Bose both with and without aftermarket ear tips. However, do bear in mind that the foam tips have to be replaced regularly, and this can get quite expensive if done frequently. For both of the earphones, I chose the best tips that created the best passive seal with my own ears. The tests were done both in real world and with speakers facing forwards and backwards, both with a pink noise and sine sweep. Your experience may vary depending on your ear shape and perception of sound. One thing that I must say is both earphones cancel out noise wonderfully, and if you are coming from passively sealed earphones without any foam tips, you will be surprised with both. Also, the Sonys have a feature called Noise Cancelling Optimizer, and when used, it helps significantly by matching the noise cancelling to your surroundings and somehow doing some magic to optimize the sound. First, with the Bose Stay Here Plus and the Sony Triple Comforts. The Sonys work better on the bass areas and treble, and the Bose works slightly better on the mid-range. Therefore, when used against transport and low humming noises of HVAC systems, the Sony will do better, and for people talking or general murmuring, the Bose will have a slight edge. With the Comply Audio Pros on Sony, they fare better at every frequency range, and has a very significant lead in the mid-range and high areas, making them ideal for cancelling transportation noises, murmuring noises, and general ambience. However, the Bose seem to have less wind noise if you are in a windy environment. In conclusion, the Bose have a slight edge in the comfort area. Out of the box, the QC30s sound more neutral, but the Sony app offers a great deal of customization in terms of sound. Out of the box, noise cancelling levels are in the same ballpark, with the Sony leading in low frequencies and Bose leading in the mid-range. However, with an aftermarket foam tips, the Sonys offer better noise cancelling overall. This was John Squared, and thank you for watching.